Hello everyone, it's your Thursday girl Danielle. This week's topic is to discuss how we met our partners and how or if dating him has affected my sexuality. And so, a little bit of background on how I met Lex. I met him through my ex and a mutual friend. We went out to a bar together and Lex was there and we had instant chemistry. Just immediately hit it off and the rest is history. Um, Lex was in the process of transition at the time that I met him. He had been on testosterone for probably 4 years at that point. He was binding. He has since had his surgery. He's 5 weeks post-op now. That was a long and arduous process, but it's good now that it's over, and he's so happy, and I'm so happy, and everything's great. But I digress. So, I knew at the time that he was transgender because of the binder. He did have a full beard and was definitely very, very male. But knowing that he was transgender didn't bother me at all. It really did not affect me. To be honest, my sexuality was probably what it is now at the point that I met him. I had spent the first part of my life, as I mentioned earlier, labeling myself as heterosexual. I dated men for a few years, didn't have any issues with dating men. They were, fairly good relationships while they lasted. But then I found myself suddenly attracted to someone who is non-cisgender male. Someone who's kind of androgynous in sexuality. Someone who's queer. And realized that it doesn't really matter what sex the person is, or even what gender the person is, but rather how much of a emotional and chemical and physical attraction that I have towards them as a human being, like towards their personality and their character and who they were. And so, I had kind of labeled myself as lesbian at that point because the person I was dating was female in sex, and I was still very ignorant of the broad spectrum of sexuality beyond the binaries. But by the time I had met Lex, I had realized that it's just really a matter of looking at the person as who they are, not what they are. And so, for that reason, I do identify as pansexual. The only issues that I really had regarding sexuality was in that I definitely got some judging looks when I started dating Lex, simply because I had made this big, huge announcement to friends and family just a few years prior that I was gay as gay gets, and just fully came out. And then for me to go from that to 3 years later dating a man again, I got a lot of the sideways, oh, it was just a phase kind of look. It took a little bit of time for me to get over that, simply because my ego doesn't want me to come off as being that kind of person that thinks that sexuality is, or sexual orientation is so, flippant that you can, turn it on and off, because that's not the case with me. But you can't really explain that without outing your partner, which was not something that I wanted to do. So, I found the label of pansexuality to be comforting simply because it helped to describe, who I was without giving up my um, orientation of lesbian or heterosexual or any of that. It still left things open. And I feel it's a little bit more all-encompassing than the label of bisexual, um, simply because bisexual, kind of puts you into that corner of either you like, or of rather liking men or women, but liking men and women. There's no room for anything in between. Um, and it's nice to have room for everything in between. uh, while I am very happy with Lex, had I not met Lex, I would like to think that, I'd be open to having a relationship with anybody regardless of whether of how they identify. Um, I hope I covered that pretty well. If you have any other questions on pansexuality or anything like that, please feel free to leave a comment. I would be happy to further the discussion. Um, I find that talking about sexuality and the constructs and boxes that society puts us into by labeling us one thing or another is very interesting. Uh, and it's definitely a discussion for me. I enjoy speaking with other people about it, just to kind of get their perspective. So please, by all means, open forum. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for listening, and enjoy your day or evening, whichever it is. Thanks. Bye.